Joining me in the studio is the UKIP mayoral candidate, Paul Bullen. Thank you very much for coming in, Paul. Why are you the right person to be the first mayor of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough?
Okay, because I'm a realist and I believe in representing the local people and doing what I can for the local people. I won't tell you any lies, I won't tell the electorate any lies, and what I do will be open and transparent.
And what has your experience as a politician been? How long have you been a councillor?
Okay, I've been on Cambridgeshire County Council for the last 4 years, and for most of that I've been the UKIP Group Leader on the County Council.
And what type of things have you been doing as UKIP Group Leader?
Well, for example, I mean, two of the things that I was instrumental in was getting the light switch back on in Cambridgeshire and reinstating the gritting routes. But also from a business perspective, I was instrumental in getting the County Council to form the Cambridgeshire Housing and Investment Company, whereby we now realise the assets that the County Council owns and we're doing our own housing developments.
And outside of being a politician, what is your life like?
Okay, well, I'm actually a retired Air Force officer. I still fly from RAF Whitton in Cambridgeshire, so flying is now a hobby of mine. I like diving, and I have a number of grandchildren whom I thoroughly enjoy visiting, especially the two youngest ones.
So those two things, your work in politics, and your life outside it. How do you what sort of life skills would you bring to the role?
Well, obviously, when I was a serving officer in the Royal Air Force, I had honed my leadership skills. Since I left the Air Force, for over 20 years, I've run my own Cambridgeshire-based business, which operates both nationally and internationally in the marine industry. That's still a successful business. I've partially retired from it. My son runs it now, really. So I have that business. When I was in Germany, I had a local budget of £3 million per year, and bearing in mind that was 30 years ago, a substantial amount of money. I know business, I know leadership, I know people. I'm committed, but I'm transparent.
So if people vote for you, are they voting for Paul Bullen the candidate, or are they voting for Paul Bullen the UKIP member?
Well, the one thing you've got to remember about the UK Independence Party, whilst we all have similar views, we do not have a party whip. There will be nobody in my party telling me what to do. I will be free to do what I believe is the best for the people of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and what the people of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough want me to do. There will be no party hierarchy telling me anything.
Now, if you don't mind, we're in Cambridge at the moment, and I'd like to ask a few questions about Cambridge specifically. Cambridge faces some big problems to do with housing, congestion. What would you do if elected as mayor to use your role to influence those things?
Okay, whatever I could. Main thing we've got to talk about, housing. Cambridgeshire City Council has its own housing budget, so this will be the one area of the county where my input will probably be less than anywhere else, and your county council will be looking after the housing. They have £70 million to spend on it. Transport and infrastructure, I think we need to work better at what we do. At the moment, within the county, we have the County Council responsible for transport and infrastructure. We have Highways England doing some of the roads in here. We have Peterborough City Council, which is a unitary responsible for the transport and infrastructure within its area. We have far too many, and of course here we have the City Deal, which is responsible for transport and infrastructure within the city and South Cambs. I think we need to bring all of that together. We need to have one organisation to make the decisions that are best for the whole county. But if you want to talk Cambridge specific, I think one of the biggest mistakes the County Council made was to charge for the park and ride sites. People using those park and ride sites have dropped since those charges were brought in, and as a consequence, traffic has increased within the city. We need to stop the traffic. We need to give people an alternative to driving into the city centre by car. And certainly if I could drive to a park and ride, park my car, pay for the bus fine and be in the city in 5 minutes, I'd probably come to Cambridge more than I do now. At the moment it's easier for me to go to Peterborough, and yet I live probably closer to Cambridge than I do Peterborough.
Is the park and ride service a good enough alternative, or does more need to be done?
I think the park and ride is a start, but I firmly believe that what we need to do is to put right what currently is wrong. I believe charging for park and ride, parking is wrong, so we need to put that right. Encourage people to use it, encourage people to use the buses to come into the city for the final part of their deal. There are other things then we need to do once we put right what is already wrong. But I'm one of those that believes that time spent in analysis is time seldom wasted. I'm not going to say here and now I'm going to have half a dozen oven-ready projects and we're going to spend the money straight away. No, we need to stop, we need to think, we need to look, and we need to make the right decisions. Because at the end of the day, the Mayor will only have £20 million a year to spend. That is not a significant amount of money to spend on housing, on transport and infrastructure.
Now, taking it back to a few things you mentioned before, there's a lot of stakeholders involved in this area, councils, city deal, etc. How do you envisage the Mayor fitting into that?
Well, I think the Mayor has to be very much a leader, has to bring all the partner organisations together. We need to have consensus, we need to talk, we need to debate, but somebody needs to be in control, and that will be the job of the Mayor.
And as Mayor, will you be able to have an influence on the area's economy and how businesses can become successful here?
I think we do. If we provide the right infrastructure, then business will look after itself, from my view. I've run my own business. I've run 3 limited companies, all of which have been successful. So business, give it what it needs to thrive and it will thrive, but not at any expense. So what I'm thinking is, you have the other candidates talking about huge growth in the county. Well, my first question was, do the local people want huge growth? Growth is good, growth generates income, and that's good. But that does not necessarily mean that every single town, village and city is going to grow exponentially with lots and lots of new businesses. There are businesses there that are currently struggling. Maybe we need to help them. We need to look at business rates. We need to look at small business rate retention. There are lots of things we need to do to enable what's already here to do better, rather than just simply build over our green belt.
But in terms of the infrastructure which you would like to see, what are we looking at?
Well, I think, again, I've already said it, I think we need to put right what is currently wrong. We've got motorists complaining on a daily basis about potholes. They're not being filled. We have pedestrians who are falling over cracks in the pavements and dislodged paving slabs. They need putting right. The money, the annual budget the Mayor has, is not sufficient to do that. So we need to work together. We need to do things better, and we need to do them more economically. And I think that's where to look at first. Get things right, put them right, get rid of the pinch points. There are traffic lights, for example, that are wrongly sequenced. There are traffic lights and roundabouts on roads that we don't need, that shouldn't be there in the first place. So I believe there's a lot we can do with our current infrastructure to make it work better before we go spending millions and millions of pounds on grandiose vanity projects that actually won't work.
And in terms of inequality, which is a big area which affects a place like Cambridge, where there's a disparity of incomes, is there anything that you as Mayor would like to do to make the gap smaller?
Well, of course there is. I mean, I'd love to make the whole of the county as beneficial to everybody as Cambridge City is to the people who live here. We'll try our best. I'm not going to say that's impossible. I'm not going to say it's possible. There are things we'll have to look at, there are things we'll have to change. The north of the county, yes, we know housing is cheaper there. There aren't as many jobs and the infrastructure isn't as good as it could be. Maybe if we improve those things, then we'll start bringing things together. But what we don't want to do is take a beautiful city like Cambridge and throw all the new business into that one place, because it will just ruin the city, in my opinion. We need to spread it a bit more so that we don't ruin what we already have.
So it's about striking a balance.
It is about striking a balance, yes.
And just finally, could you tell the people watching, maybe in 2 sentences or so, why they should vote for you?
Because I will listen to people. I will bring direct democracy back to Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. I will involve the public in everything I do. I will not exclude the press or public from any of our meetings, and where we make important decisions, those meetings will be open to the public, and I will consult the public before we make those important decisions.
Well, thank you very much for coming into the studio today, Paul. Paul is one of 6 other candidates who are running for Mayor, and they will be coming up for you on the screen right now.